60 Seconds Reatomized is a game where you have, well, just 60 seconds to gather supplies before a nuclear apocalypse. You have to make split-second decisions to grab everything you need to survive in a fallout shelter with your family. Every choice matters and every second counts. What you bring with you could be the difference between life and death. For 2 whole months, the longest anyone managed to survive on the hardest difficulty, Tsar Bomba, was 484 days. It was widely thought that the record was unbeatable, but records are meant to be broken, and that's where my journey began. Today, I'm thrilled to share with you how I surpassed that seemingly unbeatable record. It's been a wild ride, and I can't wait to take you through it. It all started a few months ago when I was sick and watching YouTube. That's when I stumbled upon a video by a guy named Caseoh. Even though the video was basically an unedited part of his stream, it was incredibly entertaining. I found myself binge watching his content until I discovered he had played 60 seconds. I had always loved the game but never actually played it myself. As I dug deeper, I learned that Caseoh had attempted to get the record himself, but since he brought more popularity into the game, people kept setting new records, making it harder for him to reach it himself. After many attempts, he managed to survive for 345 days, which at the time was the 6th best in the world. Sadly, after a few months of going for the record every now and then, he gave up.
Hey, Dolores! Whoa, Dolores! Dolores, I didn't know you were saving that up! Do it again!
So I thought it would be fun to try out the game. Not wanting to spend $10 on the game I wasn't sure I'd play for long, I initially tried pirating it online, but that didn't work out. Then I came up with a genius plan. Download BlueStacks, an app that basically acts as a mobile device on your computer. Since pirating mobile games is easier than literally breathing, I downloaded it and started my playthrough. After a bit of struggling to beat the game normally, I finally got the hang of it and decided to go for the longest survival. But since this category is almost 90% luck, I had to invest a lot of time to get a good attempt. Reaching day 300 was a tough milestone, but I made it. But I wasn't done yet. After a lot of trial and error, I made it to day 407, and shortly after that, day 411. However, it seemed like I had hit a wall. I couldn't even get close to my personal best for a while. Even if I had the best possible start in a run, the required luck was far from over. You see, there are 2 types of bandits. The ones that have a chance to follow you home after an expedition, and the ones that can randomly show up to your door. The first type of bandits are deadly, since around 20 days after they follow you home, they will start repeatedly attacking you, forcing you to use all of your weapons. If you run out of them and let the bandits in, it's an instant game over. The general strategy to get those bandits to leave us alone is to only make a few expeditions at the start and then not take the risk of being followed unless it's necessary. The second type of bandits are different. After around day 10, they have a random chance to attack you and they can do it as much as they feel like it. Also, every time you use a weapon to defend yourself, it breaks, so you can only do it so many times. These bandits usually become a problem only after day 220, since we have basically already seen every event and we can only see a few events that can happen infinitely, including the event where we are attacked by bandits. If you let these bandits in, they can do one of these: leave for no reason, steal 2 cans of soup or 2 bottles of water, get one of the people in your shelter hurt, or steal everything, even though there's a low chance they will do that. So even if we have a lot of food and water, we are usually forced to send an expedition around day 300 to hopefully get some extra weapons, since we have used all of them already. This usually backfires, since if Dolores gets followed, then it's game over. And also there is no guarantee that she will find weapons during the expedition, and this is why getting a good run took so long. Until one day I made it to day 457, just 31 days short of the world record. Unfortunately, I got really unlucky at the end, so I ended up in 2nd place without breaking the record. Then I figured out that emulators are banned for this category, so even if I got the record, it wouldn't even count. So I took the L and bought the game on Steam, and then continued trying. Until one day. I started my scavenge and got almost every item in the game and a lot of soup and water. I only took Timmy with me since I will only use him for one scavenge and then let him die, since only having one person in the shelter is optimal for the longest survival. Because we only have one mouth to feed. Sorry, Timmy. The plan is to give Dolores water every 5 days and food every around 4.5 days, since for some reason she is hungrier than she is thirsty. On day 2 I'm forced to sacrifice my gas mask to save my flashlight, because getting a new flashlight is harder than getting a new gas mask. On day 3 I send Timmy on an expedition with the playing cards to hopefully bring back some good resources. On day 9, Timmy comes back and he clutches up, having completed one of the best scavenges in the game. Normally at this point you should just wait in the shelter for the rest of the run, but since I really want the record, I send out Dolores with the checkers on day 10, basically hoping for her to not die or get followed. Timmy dies and Dolores returns having contracted an illness, and with a really bad scavenge. Since I was disappointed with the last scavenge, I send Dolores out with the checkers again on day 18, which she should never do since the chances of her dying are through the roof. Dolores thankfully clutches up and returns on day 26 with 4 cans of food and 2 bottles of water. Now's the time to start surviving. I then proceed to tinker with the radio twice. The first time it resulted in 2 cans of food, and the second time the radio blew up. But little did the game know that was my secret tactic all along. You see, after playing for so long, I noticed that if the radio blows up once, it won't blow up again for the rest of the run. Meaning that since the radio is really common to get from events, then when I get one, I will tinker with it as much as I need to get every good event. Also, I will keep preparing expeditions every time I can, since we will be able to skip half of the events, or at least delay them until later, because if I prepare an expedition, the next day the game won't give me any trouble. On day 46, I finally use the medkit on Dolores to cure her of her sickness, and also start getting the dog, Pancake, which I later give 1 can of food to feed him. However, on day 60, Pancake comes back asking us to follow him, and I choose to bring my map with me, which results in 3 cans of soup. On day 62, a young singer approached the shelter, and by giving her a bottle of water, she gave me a radio. On day 68, Pancake shows up hurt outside our door, and if you use the medkit to save him, he becomes your pet. But I didn't have a medkit, and even if I had, I wouldn't use it since Pancake usually eats all your food and doesn't really help much. Letting Pancake die is always a very sad part of the run, but you gotta do what you gotta do. On day 80, I get the chance to use my suitcase that I got on day 11 as a fishing rod, which loses the suitcase but gives you a random item in return. I was hoping to get the gas mask, but I got the lock instead. On day 82, I gave my ammo to a mysterious trader in exchange for a can of soup, and on day 90, I get an extra can of soup by chasing the spiders in the shelter with my Boy Scout book. At this point, you might be thinking, you have 19 cans of food but only 8 bottles of water. I know, but it's really easy to get a lot of water fast. On day 102, I tinker with the radio, which results in finding a supply drop that contains 2 bottles of water, 1 can of food, and ammo. On day 112, I give a mutated person a can of food in exchange for him to have me get rid of bandits the next time they bother me. On day 114, a trader shows up outside my door, and they give me 4 bottles of water in exchange for my radio. On day 132, I got the option to go look in my neighbor's safe. I took the opportunity and got a gas mask, but Dolores got sick again, and I didn't have a medkit. Thankfully on day 152, I got the option to shower with my new gas mask. In this game, there are events that can always help you, there are events that can always hurt you, and there are ones that can do either. If you don't choose anything, then everybody will become sick, and if you choose the bug spray or ammo, then the person will get cured of their sickness, but you will lose the item you showered with. However, the gas mask never breaks in that scenario, so I was able to cure Dolores free of charge. I then proceed to take a big gamble on day 164 by sending Dolores to check an abandoned tank. However, there's a chance for it to be trapped and explode, killing Dolores, but it can also have a radio in it, and the gamble paid off because Dolores found the radio. I then got 2 bottles of water by letting in the Wolverines when I had the chance, and another 2 bottles by shooting the wall of a secret room in the shelter and causing a water pipe leak that we used to fill the 2 bottles up. I then make some cockroaches dance by playing the harmonica that they later gave me a bottle of water and a can of soup as a thank you, and after I gave a bottle of water to another mutant that will assist me in my next expedition. I proceed to get a bottle of water on day 200 in exchange for my flashlight, and on day 202 I get a medkit by inspecting some sounds that were coming from underneath the shelter. On day 214 I get a suitcase in exchange for my checkers, and on day 220 the real challenge starts as I get attacked by the first bandits. I am forced to use the gun, and now starts the most boring part of any run, as I have come across all of the events already and the chance of seeing bandits is very high. That's why I get attacked again on day 234 and use the axe to defend myself, but to my surprise I break the axe, but I get a gun because the bandits dropped it. This is pretty rare and it almost never happens in my other runs. The next bandit encounter is on day 264, so I use my gun and somehow get the low chance of getting an axe from the scared bandits while chasing them. That was really rare to happen back to back, so I started to believe this could be the run. I reach day 300 and the run starts to get really boring, since the only events that are happening are the military trying to contact me, which I ignore, the twins trying to contact me, which I ignore, the showering event that I keep using my mask on, the event where cockroaches keep showing up, which I keep whacking with the Boy Scout book, and finally the event where literally nothing happens. This is basically like a Russian roulette. Dolores' life hanging by a thread, because if the bandits decide that I should die, then I die. The bandits decided that I should perish on day 310, because they attacked me again, and after I used my axe, I got the rare chance of getting a rifle again. Being this lucky back to back to back is actually crazy. I'm confident to say that the bandits reconsidered visiting me, as the bandits left me alone for 70 whole days. On day 380, they showed up again and broke my gun. After doing nothing until day 440, which is another 60 days without encountering any bandits, they show up, and remember that mutant guy I helped like 300 days ago? He promised to get rid of raiders if they bother us, so I did nothing about the bandits, and the mutants, staying true to their word, took care of the bandits for me. They were probably on standby for like a year. That's what you call determination. The bandits don't seem to give up, as they strike again on day 454, forcing me to use all of my bug sprit, leaving me with only luck to defend myself. However, I started running out of food and water, so I sent Dolores out on an expedition on day 465 with the suitcase, radio, cards, and bullets for her to hopefully bring back useful supplies. With the help of the mutants I gave one water bottle to a year ago, Dolores returned on day 472 safely, fortunately without being followed. She brought back a flashlight, an axe, and 3 bottles of water, but no food. I thought this was it. Dolores was too tired for another expedition, and she usually gets better around 10 days after the expedition. But to my surprise, she got better almost instantly. After using my newly found axe to deal with the bandits, I ran out of food, so I sent an expedition on day 481. Dolores was on her own now, so I gave her the suitcase, radio, map, and gas mask. The chances of her returning weren't the best, and if she didn't bring back food, then the run would be over, but I would have still broken the world record, so I sent her. And she returns with literally nothing but 2 cans of food. She also basically broke everything and got followed, but that doesn't matter. Since I don't have a gas mask, I use my bullets to shower, but then I have to shower again, but I don't have anything. Dolores gets sick, but I'm not concerned because I have a medkit. I reach day 500, first in the world to break the 500-day barrier. Then on day 503, the bandits show up again. I had the lock and I should have used it, but it was 1 AM at the time and I couldn't really think straight. But I thought that if they stole 2 water bottles or got Dolores hurt, then that would have been fine and I could have saved my lock for later. Unfortunately, this happened. They took everything. The run was over. As a final attempt to survive, I send Dolores out on an expedition while she's sick, dehydrated, and starving. And on day 511, the run ends. Dolores died during the expedition. Could I have survived much longer? Maybe. Am I stupid for not using the lock? Yeah, but I set the new world record, and I doubt it will be dethroned anytime soon. Thanks for watching.